You are listening to Specifically for Seniors, a podcast designed for a vibrant and diverse senior community. I'm your host, Dr. Larry Barsh. Join me and a lineup of experts as we discuss a wide variety of topics that will empower, inform, entertain, and inspire as we celebrate the richness and wisdom of this incredible stage of life. Today, we explore the civic power of everyday objects and the people who dare to redesign them. Today's guest didn't start with a blueprint. She started with a daughter. Drew Ann Long is the creator of Carolyn's Cart, a revolutionary shopping cart designed for children and adults with disabilities. Named after her daughter Carolyn, who was born with Rett syndrome, the cart began as a mother's plea for inclusion and became a national movement in retail design. Drew taught herself the language of industrial engineering, founded Parent Solution Group in 2008, and partnered with Technibilt to bring her vision to life. Her invention has since earned national recognition, including the Da Vinci Award for Universal Design, and is now available in major retailers like Target, Kroger, and Walmart. But this story isn't just about a cart. It's about civic imagination, maternal resolve, and the quiet revolution of making space for everyone. Drew, welcome to Specifically for Seniors.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and uh, continue to advocate for what I do. Thanks again.
Let me ask you to start off with, what is Rett syndrome?
Rett syndrome is a genetic disorder. It is completely random. I have three children. Two are typical. One is disabled. My daughter Caroline. Um, I'm not a carrier. My husband's not a carrier. It's just a random genetic mutation that can happen to anyone, just anyone, and it just happened to us.
And what problems does it present in your everyday life?
So there's a range of Rett syndrome. But for Caroline, she doesn't walk, she doesn't talk, she's tube fed, she wears a diaper, but she's a happy adult now. She goes to date programs. Um, she can interact and smile, and she is well aware of what's going on around her. Um, and some Rett girls are higher functioning, some Rett girls are lower functioning. So it's a range, of it's a spectrum of where you are on it, and Caroline's on the lower end of that spectrum.
And what was your life like?
Oh, it was
How,
tough. I mean, no one wants a severely disabled child. No one. That's not what anybody. That's not your hopes and dreams for any of your children. So, Caroline is my second child, and life got hard, significantly harder. I found myself thrust into a world that, number one, I didn't want to be in. Number two, a world I knew nothing about, a world that would try me, challenge me, test me. But more importantly, it was a world that I was going to try to make a difference in, not only for my daughter Caroline, but for others as well.
and one of your daily problems was able to go shopping.
Right. So when she was younger, again, never walked, I could use what stores provided. But as Caroline got older, she outgrew all the options. um, you've probably seen the fun carts. They're like race cars or fire trucks, and the toddlers love them. I love them. All my kids love them. But when Caroline outgrew that, around 8 years old, um, I went to my store manager and I said, I just live in small town Alabama. Could Is there a special needs shopping cart? There probably is, and he agreed. And I said, "Would you buy it since I'm in here so much?" And he said, "Absolutely." So a week later, we circled back and he said, "There is no special needs shopping cart." And I was just stunned that there was such a variety out there for different um, populations, different age groups, all the things, electric scooters, fun carts. Some stores even provide wheelchairs. But what about those that can't use any of those options? And it was just a huge, huge gap in the retail world of shopping. And a lot of people don't know that the disabled special needs community is in fact the world's largest minority group. And
Really?
we are often overlooked and usually underserved. So, yeah, that's what I discovered. I really, of course, I'm not the only one that needed a special needs shopping cart. I knew that it would be a worldwide, global need, and was really shocked to see that it had never been tapped into.
So, out of necessity, you had to do something.
Absolutely.
And
Sure, sure. Out of
and
my
you
out of a need for my own child. Yes.
and you had no background in engineering or design, and you came up, well, let's show a picture of the cart you came up with. We'll talk about it.
There it
This is
is.
the
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, so simple. Um, I did not invent the shopping cart, of course. I consider myself an innovator. I took a product that existed and made a few minor modifications. And there it is. It has a larger seat to hold up to 250 pounds. It still has the bottom rack for product. The rack comes out for the person that's sitting in it for their feet to have a place to rest. It's got brakes on it. It has six wheels. Shopping carts only have four wheels, but because of the design and holding a larger person, the actual addition of two wheels, no matter how much weight you have in that cart, it just turns on a dime. It's just very easy to maneuver. So it wasn't rocket science. It was a simple modification that would include the world's largest minority group.
You call it a simple modification, but there was a lot of engineering,
Oh, it was.
harnesses, handles, weight distribution.
Right. I don't want, yeah, I say simple, but it was very difficult to get off the ground. It cost a lot of money. I had a lot of failures. I took my design to the four shopping cart manufacturers in the United States. There's four of them, and all four of them told me no, there wasn't a need. So it was it took years to get it off the ground. Um, and I was very naive. I thought that it would be simple. I thought that I would take this design, which I had on a napkin and then on a piece of paper, and I thought that corporate America would just be like, "Oh, yes, yes." And it was the exact opposite. I mean, it was no, no, no from the get-go. So I was left with a decision. I was either going to plow through and try to do it, or I had to shut up about it, because nobody was going to do it. I went to the big dogs. Nobody was going to do it. So it was me or it wasn't going to happen.
So you faced the problems of an innovator.
100%.
And you mentioned that there were several steps to innovation that you learned.
Several, right? Sure. Just, you know, I had it in my head. I drew it on a napkin for my husband at dinner one night. I was like, all right, now I got to get it to a piece of paper. Then what do I do? So, I did have to involve engineers, and I did have to get prototypes and patents. And I had to, have something to test and bring to the consumer and bring to social media. So It was a lot of steps of innovation, absolutely, and a lot of people involved.
So it took years to get even a prototype developed.
It did for me. And a lot of people are like, well, why did it take so long? Well, for one, I was the mother first of three young kids, one severely disabled, in and out of the hospital. My husband traveled for a living, so he was out working and paying the bills. So I didn't have the luxury of going to an office. That's why I went to corporate America and asked them to do this. I knew that I did not have the time, the money. So yeah, it did. It had to come second, of course, to my family, to me taking care of my kids. So I did it. I worked on it when I could. And that's what slowed me down, of course.
And how did you finance this whole thing?
Oh my goodness. Well, we drained our savings, and that didn't take long. And we came to a point where we were completely out of money. We were in debt so bad because we just were paying for patents. So it was either going to die or we had to go to our 401k. And I didn't want to go to our retirement because that's not smart. Any financial advisor will say don't do it. But we were so into this. We had gone to social media. People were counting on this. They wanted it. I believed in it. um and we were so financially in debt that I'm like, this has got to succeed, or I mean, I'm scared what would have happened if it didn't. So it was the ultimate risk that we were willing to take.
So now I assume you have a prototype that you can show to retailers.
Right at that point, yeah. At that point, so it took me a couple years. I got a prototype. The first prototype was $28,000. Um, so I had to get like four or five prototypes. That was just the first one, if that gives you any idea. But you have to have that to demo, to to take video, to take pictures, to put out on social media. So all that is just part of the process. So once I got some prototypes and was gaining momentum, gaining interest, I needed a manufacturer, and all the manufacturers had told me no. So I had to go the non-traditional route, and I found a manufacturer in Georgia, and he had never made a shopping cart, but he said, I think I can make some of these. And he made me 100 carts for $100,000. So, the bills just continued to increase. I didn't make money on this for probably 7, 8 years, never made a dime, just kept writing checks. And once I had my first sellable carts, I went to all the big stores and none of them would buy it. They weren't interested because they only buy from like one main manufacturer, and that manufacturer had told me no. So here I was it, used up our retirement, still in debt, had 100 carts that nobody would buy. So I had to go to the smaller chains. I call them the mom and pop stores. I had to go to the ones that were locally owned. So that's what I did. My husband and I kind of mapped out across the US locally owned stores that would take a chance. I live in Alabama. I didn't want them all in Alabama. I needed a grassroots nationwide effort. I needed to build the demand nationally, not just in Alabama. So we were able to seed the market with these carts in locally owned, no one's ever heard of, the mom and pop stores. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have made it. So after that happened, because of social media, the tide started to turn, and word was getting out, and people were sharing and posting and saying, well, I need my Walmart to have this. I need Target to have this. So after about a year of my first round being in the smaller stores, the manufacturer in North Carolina called me and said, okay, you created it. We believe in it now, and you created enough demand. Come back, because now we have some of our big customers wanting Caroline's cart. So it was my third trip up there that I finally got a yes, and they started to manufacture it.
And who became your largest retailer?
Walmart. So last year, I had the opportunity to go to Bentonville, Arkansas, and Walmart did a nationwide rollout. So every single Walmart and every single Walmart neighborhood market. I don't know if you have those. So there's like the super centers, and then they have the smaller stores. Every single one of them in the United States has Caroline's cart.
Hmm. That's an incredible story.
Yeah, I thank you, and I appreciate that. And it was so much hard work. I could not have done it without the special needs families backing me and wanting it, and going to their store in Ohio, in Michigan, in California, and asking for it. I'm just one voice, just one voice. Um, so without the world's largest minority group getting behind this and literally demanding it, it never would have happened. You know, it so many things had to fall into place. I mean, the stars had to align. Yes, it was my idea. Yes, it was my money. Um, but it takes a village. You've heard that saying, it takes a village. And that is definitely the case with Caroline's cart. Never would have happened without the nationwide demand coming from special needs families.
But the persistence and risk that you personally took
Yeah,
with this
that was tough.
project.
That was tough, and I was so naive in the beginning that I honestly thought it would be simple. I thought, okay, I'll just point out this problem, and yes, everybody will do it and love, and that wasn't it. It was a no at every turn. But the people that told me no, they don't live in my world. They were quick to shut out that this is a global need. They just wouldn't listen. So I'm glad that I was naive, because had I had a crystal ball and seen how hard this would have been, I would have never done it. Nobody would have done it. Nobody would have risked what my husband and I risked to do it. It was absurd, and it should have never been that hard. Um, but I'm certainly glad that it happened. And Caroline's card is now international. It's in Dubai. So if you ever go to Dubai in the Middle East, you'll see Caroline's cart. It is wildly successful because of the families that helped me create this demand.
And it's not just kids.
Oh, absolutely not. Caroline's cart is for the older child slash adult. Caroline's birthday was yesterday. She's 25. So special needs kids grow up to be special needs adults. Um, so that's the main user. If you're a kid, if you're small, you can probably still use, the fun carts. So yeah, I get emails all the time from parents that have older autistic kids that are like, we can't shop without it. Our kid walks just fine. He's 22. He's a grown man, but he has autism, and he's a runner, and he gets overstimulated. But he loves to go to the store and pick out his cereal. But we can't, he has to be in Caroline's cart in the harness. That's the only way we can shop. So it is very rewarding to hear stories like that.
And I read one of the stories from an Adam Standiford.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Do you want to
Yes.
tell us the
So
story?
I've never met him, but wow, what a great family advocate he was for the cart. And he was very instrumental in helping to lead and create the demand in his area to help get Caroline's cart in all the stores. Absolutely.
What's the need out there for more, I'll call them specialty products in the world of disability management.
Well, I think the need is tremendous. And again, it is here we are, the world's largest minority group in every community globally, and we're the most underserved. You put special needs in front of anything that is currently being made, the price goes up tenfold. I recently bought my daughter a chair that she needs to sit in. Just a chair that on rollers. It's $3,000. It is absurd what families like mine have to do to get what we need for our children. And that's young children all the way through adult children. So we fight for what we need, and there's a lot out there, but the things that are out there are often just overpriced, and we shouldn't have to pay more just because our child has a disability.
Especially if the disability minority group is the largest minority. It's
Absolutely.
not limited production.
Oh, absolutely not. It is not. It is, and again, it's not the United States largest minority group. It is the world's largest minority group. Um, and anybody is a day away from joining this group. We could all be disabled at any time. Um, it's something does need to change. And in the 25 years that I've been a member of this group, I have seen major, major improvements. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but it is something that needs to be on the forefront of corporate America's mind for sure.
What advice would you give to someone who sees a gap in their community and wants to fill it, but doesn't really know where to start?
Just do your homework, do your research, know what you want. Um, know that it's going to not be easy. It's going to be hard. I say that what I did took longer than I thought, was harder than I thought, and cost more money than I ever thought. So be prepared to be in it for the long haul. Be committed to what you want to do. Um, build a community of support. That might be the most important. I again, if without the community of support I had, Caroline's Cart would not exist. So make sure that you have a strong foundation and a great support system behind you.
We're going to have listeners who live in locations where their markets don't have Carolyn's cart. How do they get started?
Okay, so they can email me or they can go to our website, which is carolinescart.com. You can print a store request form and you just print it out and you take it to the store manager, and the store manager has all the information they need to order it. So carolinescart.com.
One other thing, you started a foundation, Carolyn's Cause. Tell us about it.
So, in an effort to give back to this special needs community that helped us get the cart off the ground, we started a nonprofit called Caroline's Cause, and it's designed for families like mine, where you have typical children as well as a special needs child. And we want to help a typical child. It's a college scholarship for the typical child, not the special needs child, the typical child. And when you're a senior in high school, you can apply. And to qualify, you must have a special needs sibling. And we want to recognize and support that family. It is hard to raise a child with a disability. It's very rewarding. We love her no less. We adore her. Her siblings adore her. But there's challenges. There are challenges. And my husband and I have watched our other kids take a back seat to Caroline. We want to do this. Well, Caroline can't do that. We want to go here. Well, Caroline can't do that. And we want to just say, hey, sibling, we see you and we want to support you. And Caroline's Cause has really taken off. Um, we award a one-time $5,000 scholarship to, it's need-based. Um, but it's grown so much that we can't fund them all, and it is heartbreaking when you cannot fund a scholarship to someone who is so needing it. So again, it's carolinescause.com. We take Venmo. We are looking for corporate sponsors. A corporate sponsorship is $5,000, and that's not a lot of money for a big company to give $5,000. And for a corporate sponsorship, we put you on our website and we recognize you and we give you all the props. So, if anybody that is looking, carolinescause.com, I do not take a salary. Know where your money's going. A lot of people give to nonprofits, and very little goes to what you think it goes to, because it goes to overhead. It goes to and I don't have that. So I do a lot of speaking. I travel and I speak. And if someone hires me to speak, they can pay my nonprofit because this is a tax deduction. So whoever hires me can get a tax benefit for having me come speak, and their fee goes to scholarships.
Any closing comments? Anything we left out that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I just appreciate people like you giving me a voice, allowing me to continue to advocate for not only the cart, but for Caroline's cause as well. Um, so thank you for what you do and getting my story out there. And I hope your listeners will, if their store does not have it, whether they need it or not, someone does need it. So I challenge anyone out there that is listening, if they don't see it in their store, go ahead and request it. Because you special needs families, if they don't have it, you're not going to see them in the store. Maybe they're just waiting for someone to just make that move for them and help them get the cart. The more that ask for it, the better chance that the store will get it.
And again, the websites.
Okay, the website is carolinescart.com. There's a tab on there where you can print a cart request form and you just hand it to your store manager. And then carolinescause.com is the scholarship nonprofit website.
So people that don't have a disabled child or an adult in the family, if they don't see a cart in the store that they use for shopping, you recommend submit a request anyhow.
Yes. And I would say most stores will get it. Caroline's Cart we're everywhere. We're very well known, and every corporate headquarters has approved it for purchase. So I'll just give an example. Publix. If you shop at Publix and we're in we're in hundreds of Publix, but if yours happens not to have it, if you will request it, that store manager will get it.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm in Massachusetts. The two supermarkets that I use, I've never seen a
What are
disabled cart.
What are they?
Shaw's Stop and Shop in the Boston area.
All right, we are in a bunch of Stop and Shops. So we just might not be in yours, but I know we are in many. Shaw's, I think we're in a few Shaw's as well. I don't think we are in all of them, but I would really be surprised if Stop and Shop did not get one, because I know we're in so many of theirs.
I just haven't seen them, so.
See, now I can challenge you to go request it there.
So I've got some work to do.
There you go. I'll give you a little homework for the weekend. Little weekend homework.
Drew, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad we had an opportunity to let you talk about the needs of the disabled community.
This was wonderful. I appreciate it. I'm excited for this to come out and share it on all my channels.
And we'll let you know when the podcast drops.
Okay. Thank you again.
Thanks again, Drew.
Bye-bye.
If you found this podcast interesting, fun, or helpful, tell your friends and family, and click on the follow or subscribe button. We'll let you know when new episodes are available. You've been listening to Specifically for Seniors. We'll talk more next time. Stay connected.